Alrighty, fellas. So we got a little three-man action going on. Two of my favorite people on planet Earth. What better way to end the week and set the tone for the week ahead than with you two sexy gentlemen? So I will not suck up any further oxygen. I will simply allow you both to chime in and get this baby crack a lacking.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
bro, take all the oxygen you need, bro. We're not at the checkup. We ain't at the,
Yeah,
we ain't
man.
at, we don't need no oxygen tanks.
Yeah, man. It's funny. So I'll give you guys a side note. So I always remember anytime I think of oxygen tanks, I have this one distinct memory. When Luke Walton was on the Lakers as a player, and I don't remember who they were playing or what year it was, but I just had this one vivid memory where Luke Walton, when he was a player, he came in one game and he put in a shift. He wasn't playing all the time. He came in, put in a shift, and they had the camera pan to him, and he was on an oxygen mask, and he was huffing that oxygen like a motherfucker. And I'll never forget that. That anytime I think of sucking up the oxygen, I just think of Luke Walton. I don't know why it's not a derogatory thing to Luke, but like anytime I think of the oxygen, I think of Luke Walton on the bench, and it was like a regular season game, probably somewhere in the middle of the 82 game season, and he was huffing on that motherfucker like he was about to die. Um, so, anyways, I know Luke Walton's got a special place in the Warriors Lakers lore intertwined, but that's different rant for a different day. Anyways, oxygen sucked up. I'm Luke Walton tonight, and you guys are Kobe Bryant and all these Steph Curry and whatnot. And I'm Luke Walton tonight. I'm sucking up all the oxygen. Give me that mask while I'm huffing and gathering from my breath. You guys show what a superstar does, baby. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And then, funny thing enough, dude, I think this is the second time I'm doing like a group podcast. The first one I believe was with Royd, like a kind of like a recording podcast. So excited to run it with you, Malik. I think we did one like a long time ago, like it was like a year ago or two. But like that was when we were kind of like just beginning. So awesome to take
Yeah,
the reins with you.
it's been a while for the two of us to be on at the same time. That's true. Yeah.
And that's an indictment on me more than anybody, which is why I got
No,
the
no, no, it's not, bro. You always taking the blame and the
that's
you
why I'm
always
huffing the oxygen, man. That's why I'm huffing the
your
oxygen.
shoulders are already carrying too much, bro.
That's why
that's
I'm
about our
huffing the
schedules.
oxygen,
So
man.
don't worry about that.
Huffing that oxygen. Now, because you know what I love both you. I mean, we all love each other. You know what I mean? So anyways, so you guys back at it, long at last. I know, obviously, on the subject of Luke Walton and the NBA, we got a lot of NBA chatter we want to do. But before we do all that, whether that's tonight or in the next 24 hours, um, we're gonna toss it over to our Brazilian correspondent, and then we'll save it for some Thomas Tuchel propaganda at the end.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, man, definitely, Ryan, something on the side note on the NBA, I definitely would want to walk through the offseason and honestly maybe like walk through each like NBA division and kind of break down each team on like separate podcasts. So stay tuned for that. Um, so if we're starting with the Brazilian Norway game, yeah, I can kind of get my raw emotions. I mean, I did have like some hours to like process it and think about it. Obviously, I'm pretty deflated. Not saying coming to the World Cup, I was expecting us to win it all, but I think we could have done better than what how we performed. I know there's some holes on the team, but I still think there's some good talent we have on the team. And speaking particularly with this game, one thing gotta give props to superstar Holland. Tapin Merchant showed up. And his second goal wasn't even a tap in. It was a long shot. He honestly barely like touched the ball throughout the game. I think there was even a stat that was said like he had like 10 touches in general before like his first goal, which was like the lowest out of like the players. But with Holland, like he doesn't need as much touches to kind of create like goals for him. He had nice header that he got, and then he had like one where he just fucking like kicked it, and it was kind of like a Hail Mary that went in type of deal. So props for Holland. That got them having the best player on the field, showcased that day. But Norway has some moments, but I truly feel like Brazil more so blew that game than Norway won that game. We can start off with the penalty choice, where Carlo wanted Bruno G to take it over Vinny, and then later on after the game, I saw that Vinny was actually Malik. I sent the video where he's like, I don't think he was even the fifth, like top five penalty choice takers, which I kind of disagreed with. I kind of preferred someone else to take it over Bruno G. And he's having an awesome tournament, but yeah, once like my initial reaction when he was handed the ball, again, no disrespect, but I was just like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna go in or not. Like I didn't have a good feeling. I wasn't that confident about it, and then obviously he missed that. And one other thing as well is when Carlo brought in the subs, starting with like Endrick. Again, I like Endrick. I'm a fan of him. I think he's had like some solid moments, but I think this game his like youth kind of showcased. One he had like there was one play where he had Vinny on the side for a 1-on-1, but Endrick tried to take it on his own. I think he tried to take like a long shot that like had no chance of going in. He obviously had that notable chance with the goalie where he kind of totally screwed that up. And then side note is when Norway scored their first goal. Partial of that is Endrick's lack of defense on that certain play that kind of allowed them to create that chance. And I just think again, like I love Neymar and I love like Endrick, Vinny, and all them, but like I just think like I don't think you can play all those players together right now. I think once we started to have that type of lineup, that's when the defense kind of sacrificed, and that's when they kind of scored the two goals. So I think it was kind of bad substitutions on that end. Um, in my opinion, even though I think Neymar did pretty solid, but again, like having Indrik, Neymar, and Vinny just kind of take a hit on the defensive side, as well. And then there was one play where Casemiro had kind of like an easy cross. He could have just tapped in for. I think Neymar was coming down the middle, where Neymar could have had a tap in. They didn't execute that, so I think it was just a lack of execution. Again, I'm a big Carlo guy, but I think his coaching decisions weren't the best today. And again, obviously, I know the João Pedro side of things will be brought up, but again, I think Carlos' decision making, the execution, and then I mean we did have Rafina out, but again, not to make excuses on injuries. I still think we had the talent enough to at least go past Norway. And if we were playing a team like France or Spain, then I put my hands up. But just the way we lost that game, just was very disappointing, deflating, and yeah, it's been kind of killing my mood for today. But I trust the process. We rebuild the roster, like you guys have said. There's holes in the roster, especially within like the midfield, where we're playing older players like Casemiro and I think even like Fabinho coming off the bench. Our outside backs aren't the best as well, but I think there's some. I trust Carlo, and we signed him to a long term deal beforehand. But I do want to hold him accountable that we have done better before he came in. We have gone further. So again, maybe not as much talent as people are saying, or like not as much talent in the past, but I still think we have had a talent enough where we can beat teams like Norway, or move farther. So no excuses on that end. So he definitely would need to step up next World Cup, but I don't want to like kind of let him loose on this performance because I think a good amount of it was on him and his roster decision beforehand, especially taking Thiago, Martinelli, and those type of players over João Pedro. Um, those are kind of my initial raw thoughts. And then gotta give props again to Holland, and the Norway team. They did. I know Fist made some bad decisions regarding dodging France to kind of get second place in that group, but looks like it's working out for them. And they're gonna play a banger game against England. So that's my initial thoughts. But I want Malik and Ryan, you guys jump in, and then we'll like talk further about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, about his thought process and his explanation with the penalty, he says that he and the staff did an analysis of rival players and their own players, and this was his list. Rafinha first, then Neymar, then Bruno Guimaraes, then after Bruno G, it was Gabriel Martinelli. So obviously at the time, Rafinha and Neymar aren't out there, so it's Bruno G taking it. And yeah, I think not only just us, I think everybody who's watching that game and who knows um Vinny and Brazil, you want your best player taking it. So um yeah, shocker. If it goes in, nobody talks about it. It didn't go in, and that's a big discussion point because if in the first half it's 1-0 Brazil, it's a whole different game in its entirety. Um, as far as Joao Pedro not being in there, I've said my piece pre-World Cup. He made the decision. He's living with it. It is what it is. But the substitutions in the second half were all the difference and more because coming out of halftime, Norway's coach made two subs um, with his wingers. He brought on Oscar Bob and Skelderup. Um, Oscar Bob had a huge impact in that game, and um, in comparison, you talked about the Endrick chance there in the second half. It's really rare for me to agree with Landon Donovan on his analysis, but here he was spot on. And he said, hey, he wanted to shoot it with his left foot because he doesn't trust in his weak foot. And, my message and advice to anybody, um, to the youth playing the game is you want to be confident in your weak foot for these type of situations. Dude, you could have done anything else and it would have been the better decision, whether that was chipping it over, or using your weak foot. So for him to take those extra touches and the angle is like virtually impossible for him to score it. It's a testament to his age. He's 19 years old. It's maybe more of an indictment on Carlo for bringing on Endrick at a knockout stage game where the game is in the balance, but you live with it. Um, the honeymoon phase for Carlo Ancelotti is officially over. You just talked about it. You said, hey, in previous World Cups, Brazil have gone farther. So to go out in the round of 16 against a Norwegian team that is good. Do not discredit Norway by any stretch of the means, but simultaneously, you're Brazil, the history, the culture. You you don't want to be losing to Norway in the round of 16. So honeymoon phase is over. Their next focus is now Copa America, especially because Argentina have won two straight Copa Americas and Brazil have not even been a threat in that competition. So their first step is to be a threat in that competition, and that's where the focus will turn to now. And yeah, the honeymoon phase is officially over for him. He didn't even speak to the media right after the game. He had his son, David Ancelotti, speak instead. So I thought that was interesting. And after the game, Neymar officially retired from international football. So, that's talk about it, an icon not only for Brazil but for the sport. That was his last major tournament, and you got the best of both worlds from Neymar. When Brazil got that penalty to end the game in stoppage time, he's jawing at the keeper before taking the shot. And then when he hits it in, he's talking trash to the keeper. And then when the full time whistle goes, he's on the ground bawling in tears, and probably because his mind was made up, and he knows that this is it, considering just how much it took for him to be a participant in this tournament. So yeah, I mean, as far as Brazil, I spoke about the deficiencies there, and yeah, all eyes on the Copa America for them. You spoke on Erling and how he really didn't have much going on, and you know, very minimal touches, but bags a brace, gets another man of the match award. There's players where you don't need the ball, and you can still make an impact. And when you're that type of player prototype and player model, it just goes to show how special you are. I saw a stat where he has for Norway 27 goals in 14 games.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to fact check this really quick. Yeah, 27 goals in 14 games for Norway. I mean, that's video game numbers, man. That is not, that's not normal. So, I mean, he's yeah, what he's doing is special. Everybody knew it. You just wondered if it was gonna show up in the World Cup. So
Hey, and to add two things that you brought up to my attention. One, I do want to shout out the Norwegian goalkeeper. He had a really, really good game. He made a lot of like impressive saves. If you remember that one play where I don't know if it hit off the defender or something, where it was like a perfect diagonal to go in like top corner, and he had like a really nice save on that. And I think he got injured from that play. But want to shout out the give props to the goalkeeper as well. And then as you mentioned about Neymar, again Brazilian legend. I was kind of glad, even though we lost, I was glad he kind of got to end it, with a bright note with him kind of scoring that penalty, drawing at the goalkeeper. And I think I mean, for the 10, 15, or 20 minutes he played, I think he did pretty solid. Like I said, I just think we kind of, I just don't think you can play all those guys together when it's like kind of like a crucial game with the World Cup on the line. But I think he did pretty good. He kind of set up a few chances, and he scored that penalty. And again, legend. He had a great career. I know a lot of what ifs, but I still think he had a great career, and we'll miss him. He was definitely probably my favorite Brazilian to watch, and then one of my favorite players all time to watch. So gotta give my props there too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Ryan, did we miss anything?
No, I think you guys are, dude. I feel like I'm witnessing greatness, man. It's just an honor and a pleasure for me to just kind of kick back and listen to you guys, and because I learn a lot, So I think, yeah, I don't think you missed anything. I think, on the Brazil side of things, I think we kind of talked about it even before the tournament. I think maybe without fully acknowledging it, I think we kind of knew deep down that, whether it was roster choices or just the talent pool, even in general, this wasn't the strongest Brazilian side in the history of Brazilian football. Um, I think there's also a reason why they probably extended Carlo in the manner that they did. I think they knew that it was going to be a long-term project. So, maybe on a service level, you might look at it and you might say, man, Brazil lost in around the 16 to Norway. What the hell happened? But I think, if you peel back the layers and actually look at it, I don't think it's really that surprising. I think you mentioned even with Norway and with Holland. I mean, we even mentioned it before the tournament too. I mean, it's not like there's some Cinderella dark horse. I mean, they got Erling fucking Holland, man. And it's not just him too. They got all these other guys that are really good too. Odegaard, Sorloth, Noosa, Oscar Bob. They got all these guys. The goalkeeper had to, was great. Um, the one thing I will say is, and it won't be the only time we say it, but Malik, I know you mentioned it off the record where, with Norway, them resting everybody against France, it looks like it's paid off, right? I think part of the rationale I had when that happened was not that I didn't think that they would be able to beat both of those matchups in the 32 and the 16. I think it was more so that, when you got a guy like Erling Haaland who's got these video game numbers, one of the best players in the world, you've got a really good team. I think honestly, probably, I mean, they're, I mean, I like it's not a surprise they're in the quarterfinal. They're one of the 8 or 6 or 4 or 2 best teams in the world right now, regardless of how you want to slice it. And I think that was more the frustrating part was just maybe not the fact that they rested everyone against France, but it was the manner in which they did it and the rhetoric, whether it was a genuine rhetoric or not, I don't even know. Maybe it was just the facade. I don't know. But I just feel like they could beat anybody on any given day, and that includes France. And I just feel like, if anything, maybe it sets up. Maybe if they can get past England, anything's possible, man. So, um, but yeah, Brazil will be back. Tough for Neymar. To end his career like that. I know he was crying his eyes out because he knew it was over probably before he even said anything about it. Um, Brazil will be back. They got a lot of young talent, a lot of talent that didn't even get to really play much at the World Cup, or didn't even make it. So I think the best of Brazil will be in the future. But I think it's less about Brazil. It's probably more about Norway. Credit to them for getting that done. But on the subject of England, um, Fadil, I don't know if you're going to join us for this conversation or not. I love you, brother. I know Brazil. I got a special soft place in my heart for them because of you. But Malik, I know you've been a big Thomas Tuchel guy for a long time. You made note of that many times, not only when he was at Chelsea, but even now with him with England and our conversations before and during the tournament about how that was going to be an X factor. So I want to give the floor to you to talk about England and Mexico from your eyes with that Thomas Tuchel perspective in mind.
Yeah, yeah. Yesterday night talked about some of the pre-game storylines there, and he this was his signature moment in this game. Um, the stuff that got thrown at him, starting with the delay for an hour, whether or not the game was going to be pushed to earlier or at the same time, it got pushed. I thought his lineup choice was excellent. Bringing Bukayo Saka into the lineup, he bags an assist for the opening goal. The decision to go with Kwanzaa, he didn't have a choice, frankly, but still, he had to do something there. Um, and just his game plan, he knew that Mexico would come firing on all cylinders, and they want to get to a lead early, so that way they can sit back and defend, and force mistakes and then play off the counter. That's what they've done so well throughout the tournament. And he said, "Hey, look, let's absorb their pressure. Let's absorb their pressure, and let's flip it. Let's turn the tables on them. Let's force an error on them, and let's get them on the counter." And that's exactly how their first two goals transpired. And they go into halftime up 2-1. Speaking of Kwanzaa, he makes a big mistake. That's a red card through and through. Studs up. Doesn't make a. There's no play on the ball. No play on the ball. A, B. Studs are up, and it's a red card, through and through. And he methodically and strategically made his substitutions. At first, unfortunately, Bukayo Saka is the sacrificial lamb. He gets subbed out first for John Stones. That's it. That's a simple, straightforward substitution. They get that third goal, right, from the Harry Kane penalty. And then right after the hydration break, Tuchel was like, okay, that's it. Let's protect our lead at all costs. We're gonna park this bus. We got 10 men, Azteca altitude, blah blah blah, you name it. And he brings on some fresh legs. First, Jed Spence and Dan Burn. Um, and Dan Burn, I mean, dude, that for those that watch the Prem, he is a well-respected defender. That guy he plays hard, he makes the right decisions, he makes excellent clearances, he knows the game very well. He's a big reason with Newcastle's, success in the Prem, qualifying for Champions League. In the Champions League, he's played those big games. He knows what to do, and then really, I mean, frankly, Jet Spence he wasn't fit coming into the game. I spoke on him looking shaky against DR Congo, but he made great plays at the end of the game as well. And then Harry Kane was absolutely gassed, and he just brings on Morgan Rogers um, as an insurance policy. But this guy just knows how to man manage so well. I mean, you can tell Bukayo was pissed off about him getting subbed out, so early in the game, but the circumstances were the circumstances. And remember, he's managing that Achilles injury. So, it just had to be done. And if you remember, there was an international window where he did not call up Jude Bellingham, and he questioned his work rate, this and that, questioned him. He had Jude Bellingham had a little spat with him after one of the World Cup qualifiers where they're winning 5-0 or something, and Jude was mad. But dude, I have never seen Jude Bellingham run like that ever in my life. He was all over the place. He bags a brace, and you know, uh, if you want the honest truth, dude, if Southgate was in this position, England lose. He wouldn't. He would panic. He would freak out. He wouldn't know what to do. He would reveal his card all at once, and wouldn't make the necessary adjustments, and they would lose. Simple as that. So this was a signature moment for him, and I give all the credit to Tuchel, to England. This is the first time ever that Mexico lost at the Azteca in a World Cup game, and it doesn't have to be pretty, man. It's not gonna be pretty when it's 10 men, for almost 40 minutes, maybe even past 40 minutes, including stoppage time. But he knows how to push the right buttons. He knows how to bring the best out of guys. And in a tournament format, there's he's up there with the best, and they got it done. This is a signature moment for England. It really is. I think people in England are going to remember this victory forever. Frankly, it's going to go down as one of the best World Cup games that they had. Um, Now, to talk about Mexico, first and foremost, I feel sorry for our guys, Vince, Omar, Royed. Um, feel for all of them. Um, but there's a lot to be proud of, and I think they reminded everybody that it doesn't have to. You don't need to be. Because remember, I mean, there's really aren't. If the guys that are playing in Europe on that team are not really starters and things of that nature. Quinones was one of their best players, and he's at the Saudi Pro League. A lot of questions about Raul. Raul did miss some chances, but it doesn't. It's not just about how many players are playing in Europe. When you all come together, you have a common mission. Anything can happen. And listen, I see both sides of the argument. if Mexico had the quality in the final third that England do, maybe Mexico do win this game, but that's not the case. It's a knockout game, and I think even Javier Aguirre he acknowledged that if they want to beat England, they have to play a perfect game, and they didn't. Those two errors leading to Jude's brace proved to be costly, and they had 45 minutes with 10 men with a one-man advantage, and they couldn't get it done. So I mean, just the structure and organization that England had, um, was a signature TT moment, and those English players put themselves on the line. Yeah, you can tell, man, when the camera panned to those English players out there, to Declan Rice, to Jude, to Harry, the back line, they were gassed. They were absolutely gassed. But they knew the mission and they got it done, and they're through to the quarterfinals. And listen, if you're England, dude, your confidence is sky high, and you think you can go win this whole tournament.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, man? I want to say something before anything else. Sometimes in any sport, regardless of whether it's football or the World Cup, just anything, any sport, any moment, even beyond sport, like sometimes you look forward to something and you think, man, that's gonna be great. Like I know even you and I, when we were doing our pre-tournament preview, and there was a bajillion different combinations of how the knockout tournament was going to play out. But when there was even a possibility that England and Mexico were going to meet in a round of 16 at the Estadio Azteca, even before the tournament, you would have looked at that. I know you and I both talked about it both on and off the record, and it was like, man, imagine England and Mexico in the round of 16 at the Estadio Azteca. You talk about it sometimes in any sport and anything even beyond sport. You sometimes you look at something, you think, man, that's gonna be amazing. And it doesn't always work out that way. It doesn't. Sometimes you really look forward to something. You look forward to whether you have a rooting interest in it or you don't. Like I can speak from my own perspective where, you know, um maybe I don't have as much of a horse in the race with either one as maybe other people. Obviously, I will admit that I was rooting for Mexico tonight. I really was. Not that I have anything against England. I got family in England. Uh, you know, I tip my cap to them. But it's one of those things where sometimes it doesn't always play out that way, where it's as good as you think it's going to be. And this was as advertised, and it was better. I mean, um, in my humble worldview, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think there's maybe a little bit of an overlap where, in my opinion, I think I always look at it two things can be true at once. So where I agree with you, I think Thomas Tuchel, especially in the second half. I think in the second half, I think Thomas Tuchel outmanaged Javier Aguirre after halftime. And I say that because I think in the first half, I think Mexico were the better team in the first half. Even before Jude Bellingham scored, after he scored twice, I thought Mexico were the better side. In many ways, you know, uh, the first goal from Jude came out of nowhere. It came against the run came against the run of play. Credit to Declan Rice too. He dribbled that thing like 100 million miles, and down the pitch. It felt like, um, and then Bukayo Saka. You mentioned him getting taken off before he gets taken off. He puts the ball in. Even you got to give credit to Harry Kane too on the other Bellingham goal too, where a lot of times most strikers would go for goal. Harry Kane says, "No, you know what? Take this. You're gonna have a better chance than I do." Obviously, Kane scores a penalty. He gives up a penalty too. That's a whole conversation. But On a Tuchel point, I do think Tuchel outmanaged Javier Aguirre in the second half. You mentioned Bukayo Saka, for example. You mentioned Dan Burn, all these guys. Like, they knew the assignment. It was going to be, we just got to see this thing through. And they made it happen. So it doesn't matter whether it's pretty or not, they got it done. I will say on the Mexico side of things, I felt in the first half they were the better side. And you mentioned Raul Jimenez, Jordan Pickford made two amazing saves. Uh, really put him and Jude and Harry. They can share man of the match three ways. Um, but as far as Mexico goes, I think in the first half I thought they were the better side. They just had a bad 2 minutes. That's really all. They had a lapse, and England took advantage of that. Really, even in the penalty, outside of the one shot from Nico from City, big number three. When it hit the post. Outside of that, the three goals were really the only chances that they had. Um, but they took them, and Tuchel knew the assignment. Like you said, it was tactically they were comfortable letting Mexico dominate the ball and playing in a way that maybe some people would say, "Hey, why are England playing like that?" But it was tactical and it made sense and it worked. Um, but on the Mexico side of things, I felt you mentioned Quinones. I thought taking him and Gilberto Mora out in the second half when they needed a goal or two was a little bit suspect. I mean, dude, I think uh remind me, big number 23, Gallardo on Mexico on the left-hand side.
Let me double check for you really quick.
Before I misspeak, is Gallardo, right? I don't want to missay his name, but big number 23. Yeah,
Yeah,
Gallardo.
the
There
left
you go.
back. Yeah.
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 I mean, dude, from when Mexico scored the penalty and made it 3-2, it felt like my guy at number 23 on the left-hand side, guy Jesus Gallardo, felt like he had the ball on his feet every minute of the entire match. And they had all the chances in the first half to score. They couldn't do it outside of the one goal. But in the second half, even though they had the man advantage, I felt like tactically, not only what Tuchel did, but Mexico taking off probably their two most influential attacking players in that sense. I
Yeah.
felt as if, Mexico, they dominated the ball in the second half, but they didn't really have any chances. Whereas in the first half, they had the chances and they just couldn't score. And I think that goes to your Tuchel argument, where it's like tactically, England knew the assignment. They knew it was going to be tough. And I think Mexico should have nothing to be ashamed about. They gave it everything that they had. In many ways, this could have been a quarterfinal or a semifinal, to be honest with you. It just happened to be in a round of 16. I give a lot of credit to Mexico. Being down 2 goals in a manner that it happened, they could have easily folded, but they countered quickly. They cut it to 2-1. It went to 3-1. They got it back to 3-2. But they just didn't have enough juice to get over the top. I think if they were going to have any chance, Mexico, they weren't gonna give up 3 goals and be able to win. Mexico.
Right. Right.
And that's really what it came down to. But I give credit to Mexico for battling, and I give credit to England and Thomas Tuchel and a lot because, like you mentioned, even Jude Bellingham. Like, to be honest with you, I think that was probably, I mean, that's probably the best Jude Bellingham's ever played in his life.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Club and country. Yes. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
not even the goals. I mean, dude, if you remember in the first half when
The
uh
clearance.
yeah, the clearance. I mean, that might have been the best play of the entire match.
Yeah.
So I give credit where it's due to England. And I mean, dude, you talk about a quarterfinal in Miami that it really could go either way. I mean, Norway and England is going to be a treat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and arguably, you could make the argument. With Holland and Kane, you could make the argument. Two of, if not the best number nines in the world. And obviously, it's not just them. I mean, it's a whole team. And I mean, I feel like that's got 120 minutes and maybe penalties written all over it. To be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. And I also have to give a big shout out to Anthony Gordon. He also
Oh, he
did
was great.
a lot of dirty work, pushing the ball up, coming back and helping out, getting that penalty for Harry Kane to slot in.
That was
He
out of nothing too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was great. And that's why Barcelona paid that price point.
Yeah,
It's a game like that where Anthony Gordon reminds people just who he is. So no, I mean everybody across the board, minus
yeah,
Kwanzaa's boneheaded decision. They
yeah.
all played
Even
extraordinary.
you,
They knew the
Jade
assignment.
Spence.
Yeah, yeah,
Jade
dude.
Spence pretty well
Yeah,
coming on too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. They all had each other's back out there, and it got there were some bits and pieces where it got chippy, man. That game was getting chippy, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was a treat for the neutral, for somebody who just is watching the World Cup because it's here in the U.S. and it's not at 5 o'clock in the morning. That red card was costly. It forced England's hand a bit there, but even with that red card, just the contrast. We talked about it before the World Cup, the contrasting style of plays and how that's gonna mesh in a match, and you see chess being played out there from both coaches. Yeah, it was
yeah.
a magnificent game for sure.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Credit to the Estadio Azteca, man. What an atmosphere too. That was a great match, like you said, as a neutral. But before we wrap this baby up, also shout out to the homie Fadil. For joining us for the first half. We'll get him back in the next 24 hours. Knock on wood. Chop it up with some NBA action. But before we do all that, uh, on the World Cup theme, we've got 4 matches left before
Yeah,
we get to the quarterfinals. Starting with 2 tomorrow with Portugal and Spain, and then the U.S. Belgium, and then obviously on Tuesday we've got Argentina Egypt, and then Colombia Switzerland. I know we talked about it a little bit last night with the guy Big Nate, which was really cool, by the way, for you guys to chop it up, even though you never met each other formally face to face. But any additional thoughts on that from in the last 24 hours from when we talked about it then until now, that you're looking forward to, kind of observing in those matches?
yeah. If you're Portugal, it doesn't matter in the manner you beat Croatia. You're through. This is a whole new game. It's a whole different matchup. And I'm going to state the obvious. Vitinha and Joao Neves need to step up if Portugal wants to get this done. You, in terms of pure true midfield versus midfield, this is 1A and 1B. And whoever wins this midfield will likely win this game. So Vitinha, stop passing the ball backwards and sideways and actually be a threat. Push the ball up. Thread those balls like you do in with PSG with your club. Um, and be be the threat that everybody knows and loves, man. I don't know what the deal is
I
with.
I always wonder in an instance like that. I always wonder if it's a managerial tactic thing.
No, it's part of it. It's part of it for sure. I know,
You
that, that
know
that's definitely a piece of the equation. Simultaneously, are there too many cooks in the kitchen with Portugal
that
who
too,
who need the
right?
ball with
Yep.
Bruno Fernandes and Pedro Neto, Rafa Leao, right? So maybe certainly the role is a little bit different, but simultaneously, um, if you're Vitinha, you got to be saying to
Yeah,
yourself, "Hey, if I want to make an impact, this is what I got to do, and
yeah.
go do it, dude. Go
Yeah,
do
I
it."
mean, like I told you before the tournament, those a guy like that is a big reason why I thought they'd be able to make a run.
Hmm.
I feel like these are some of the best. I mean, Vitinha is one of the best players in the world, man. Nuno Mendes too. Like all those PSG guys, and you mentioned like Leao and Pedro Neto, and I know Ronaldo came out today and said, "Yeah, it's my last World Cup."
Yeah.
Talking in the third person like Zlatan a little bit, which I always enjoy that, when people talk in the third person. Uh, but I don't know, man. I think, with Portugal, Spain, it's unfortunate that that's a round of 16 matchup because it really could be a quarterfinal or a semifinal, but it's going to be a fun one, man. It really is. I have a feeling it's going to come to, it's going to go to, it's going to go, I feel like it's gonna go to distance, to be honest with you. I think it might be one of those that might go, if it's not a deep 90, uh, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout or anything like that. I don't think it's gonna be like
No.
3. No, I think it's gonna be a 90 to 120-minute, penalty type of battle. I really do. I think they're 2 even sides and then a one-off. I think they're both gonna respect each other, and I think it wouldn't surprise me to see it be a match that goes to distance, goes to penalties, um, and it wouldn't surprise me to see either one of them victorious, to be honest with you, because I think they're both 2 of the most talented sides in the world on their day, and in a one-off, with those 2 sides, anything can happen. I will be interested to see, with Spain, does a guy like is Nico Williams gonna be fit enough to play a good amount of minutes or not?
Right, right. And the Lamine Yamal Nuno Mendes matchup. That is one of the best matchups you will ever have between a winger and fullback.
Oh, yeah, and especially because of what Nuno can do going forward too,
Yeah.
like you meant so, like you mentioned from a neutral's perspective, you can't ask for a better matchup than those 2 guys going at it kinda on the wings like that. Um, I feel like it's one of those matches I feel like's got 1-1 to penalties written all over it. Maybe I'm wrong, but, I just feel like both sides are gonna respect each other. They're going to they're gonna play each other with respect in the sense that they're not gonna try to overexert themselves, open themselves up, and get fucked.
Right, right. Both teams want to retain possession, build up play, and then from there try to find those gaps, play some balls in behind, and take those chances from there. Yes, you're gonna see a lot of structure, um, between both sides, and a lot of tinkering, in-game adjustments from both managers. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna I think similarly to, England, Mexico, and a similar thing we've talked about throughout the tournament, I think it's gonna come down to tactical adjustments between Luis de la Fuente and Roberto Martinez, and which one is able to adjust more, substitutions and tactical tweaks, and which one's able to play the right buttons.
Yeah, yeah, 1000%. And then since we last talked, US Belgium, Flo Balogun is playing. Was reported this morning out of thin air, frankly, but he's playing. He is gonna start most likely without a doubt. And you have Belgium very, very upset, as well as, frankly, I think the rest of pundits covering the game. And then you got Mauricio Pochettino saying that we already got punished, by playing 30 minutes with 10 men, and it wasn't a red card. And so I wish that this wasn't, I wish things stood. Why do I say that? I say that because, should the U.S. win and take care of business, it's going to be about this decision that FIFA had. What was it? Article 27, they said.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
ironically, going back to Portugal and Ronaldo, Ronaldo, if you remember,
Yep.
Ronaldo should have been
The
suspended,
only
and,
other player, dude, Flo Balogun and Cristiano Ronaldo.
you
one's
know
one's one of the greatest to ever do it, and then the other, apparently, President Donald Trump gave a call.
yeah, nah, see, you can't even say that with a straight face, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
more
yeah,
you know what, man? I'll tell you what. I'll say this. With the Flo Balogun thing, that's its own separate episode, man. It
yeah,
really
yeah.
that's its own episode. I mean, holy fucking smokes, man. I mean, what I don't know, man. It could be its own episode. And we always say on here, you can talk about things more than one time. So, all I'll say is this, I want to get your thoughts real quick. I mean, when you saw the foul, was it a red card in the moment to you? Yes or no?
No,
No. So here's my 2 cents of it right now without, like I said, it could be a whole episode, but just on a surface level while we're talking about it right now, I think, okay, should it have been a red card? You say no. I think most people say it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been a red card. So
should or should not.
my 2 cents of it is this, and this is my 2, and we'll talk about it multiple times, but I think this is my 2 cents, and I think we're on probably a similar page, but I'm interested to see like, so what I see is this. Okay, if it's not a red card, if, you've got VAR and all this technology, and you've got VAR that's able to go in and find an offsides by the fraction of your ass cheeks or the toenail of your toe. You got all this technology that can figure this shit out, right? Like Mexico and England today, VAR was working hard, and I
Yeah,
think I think most people would have said, "Hey, you know what? VAR did its job." Like, you
yeah,
know, like, especially because the referee didn't see some of that shit in real time.
right,
But so it's like, okay, you got the technology, you can get the shit right if you really want to. So if it's really not a red card in the moment, and it's not a red card, and you've got the technology, then don't give them a red card.
right.
And if you're going to give them a red card, and then you
Stand
have
on
the
it.
technology and you leave it as a red card, even if most people don't think that it's a red card, but you have the technology, you leave it as a red card, you keep it as a red card. They finish the match, he gets a red card. You come out and you say, "Yeah, it's a red card. He's going to be suspended." And then a day before the match, just on a fucking whim, "Oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna suspend that shit to next year, and he's gonna be able to play due to Article 27 or whatever the fuck." I mean, it's like they say you can make a statistic say whatever I wanted to say. It's like with the legal system. If you got all the money in the world, you can get off of any crime, right?
Right.
Um, and so I think it's just one of those things where it's like, if they would have given Balogun a red card in that match against Bosnia, and then VAR would have went in and said, "Hey, you know what? That's not a red card." No, you're not going to hear anybody complain.
Right.
But to give him the red card, have the technology, keep the red card, double down on giving him the red card and saying he's not going to have any sort of, he's going to be suspended, and then just magically on a whim, just be like, "Ah, you know what? Nah, you know what? We thought about it." That's bullshit. No matter how you slice it, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's one of those weird things where it's like, if you're gonna call it one way, call it one way. But if you're gonna call it one way, say one thing, do all that, and then bring it back. It opens up a whole can of worms because it's like even Ronaldo. I like uh you know uh shout out to the homie Nick D. He was actually the one who reminded me of Ronaldo in the middle of the tournament. I didn't even remember, and I was like, oh yeah, you were right. Like Ronaldo should have been suspended for what was it, 2 games, 2 matches?
Right.
He should have been, but he wasn't. And what it does is it sets up a dangerous precedent where it's like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, he got a red card. You know what? Let's bring him back.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And remember the Qatari player who made that challenge on Kone for Canada, 5 match ban. Um, Leo Messi against Algeria went unpunished, no yellow, no nothing for that challenge on the Algerian player. It's the same theme, man. It's the same theme that you, me, other people on the podcast are going to talk about. Where's the consistency? But it's a draining subject, but it is what it
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
there. He's
it's there.
playing.
Like you said, he's gonna
Um,
play.
yep.
So it's like we have to talk about it. You have to shed light on the fact that it's happening, but it's out of our control. He's gonna play regardless, and I'll bet you my kidney that Flo Balogun's gonna play tomorrow. Pochettino's
Right.
not gonna feel bad about it.
Right.
It's not like they're not gonna self-impose and keep him on the bench or anything like that because of morals and ethics. I mean, he's available. He's gonna fucking play.
Right. Right.
So, we can talk about it. Like I said, it plays itself into a separate episode. But just to kind of set the stage for it, like you mentioned, it's worth talking about because it. But you know what? I think, like you said, what's unfortunate about it is that regardless of the result, it's going to take away the rhetoric from the match itself, which is what we should be talking about.
Right.
But then before we wrap this baby up, any additional thoughts from yesterday today on Argentina, Egypt, and Colombia, Switzerland? We're still kind of feeling about the same there.
No, about the same. Nothing's changed there between those two games. And hey, some late breaking news for you.
Huh?
Carlos Queiroz is no longer coaching the Ghanaian national team. He stepped down.
I mean, you know what, man? He came in. I mean, he's only been managing the side for like a month.
Less than
So,
3 months. Yep.
yeah, less than three. So, it always felt like one of those where he was a short-term appointment.
Yep.
But now the interesting question becomes, where does the Ghanaian FA go from there?
Right.
Especially like we talked about, where Ghana typically are one of those sides that like to go for it. They like to play with a little bit of flair and pizzazz, and
Mm-hmm.
you got a guy like Semenyo, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and then a guy like Carlos. That's the complete opposite of his style and his shtick. Now that he came in, it felt like a band-aid hire, if you will. Now they get eliminated. Now where do they turn, and what kind of vision do they see moving forward?
Yeah, exactly. And then for Carlos, he's 73 years old, man. How much what other role is there for him where he, wants to do it? He's been everywhere. He's been in the game for longer than you and I have been alive combined.
Yeah,
So it's yeah, I'm curious as to where it goes. And yesterday night, I talked to Nate about Klopp, and that deal is pretty much done. It's a long-term appointment through the upcoming Euros and even the next World Cup. So that deal is done.
yeah,
Good for Germany. Lot to do
yeah.
there if they want to be back to the nation that we know they are. And other than
Another one of
that,
those
I mean,
managers, man, like Carlo, Thomas
hmm
Tuchel, Coutinho, there's another one.
hmm hmm
Uh, but anyways, what were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's pretty much it, really. In between yesterday and today, there's not a whole lot there. Just fast forward me to Thursday, dude. Thursday,
Hey,
1 p.m. Pacific. I really
Ale,
wish this game was at like 5 p.m. or something because, dude, if that was the case, bro, I would have went to a Yemeni coffee shop, decked out in my gear, and I would have been the only dude, pulling for my Les Bleus, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I would welcome that hostile environment. But yeah, fast forward me to Thursday, I will most definitely
yeah.
um,
Oh,
come on here and give a full big preview because that matchup is there's a lot of meaning to it. So can't wait to
okay.
dive in on that.
Looking forward to the preview with the a rematch, France and Morocco. We'll line that up before Thursday. Like you mentioned, it is a little bit of a bummer that it's in the afternoon on a Thursday. That it should be like a 6 p.m. match. To be honest with you, but
Yeah, dude.
um,
And then why is Australia, Egypt at Australia, Egypt, Egypt, Argentina at 9 a.m. and then Colombia, Swiss at 1 p.m. Where
yeah,
where is this coming from, bro? Like
yeah. No,
what's going
you know
on?
what, man? It's a big bummer because you know what, man. I mean, we could talk about it, many more times. It's like in other World Cups, we've had to adjust our schedules for the rest of the world, but now that it's over here, we're giving our schedule to the rest of the world,
Right.
and it's a big bummer, man, because it's like there's no planet where in this country it should be 9 a.m. on a weekday in a knockout match. Like, we had all these great 8 p.m., 9 p.m. matches,
Uh-huh.
7 p.m. Like, why are we losing that in the knockout stages where it really matters?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me goddamn started on that because we're gonna be here for another 3 hours talking about all that, man. It's like, why are they playing at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday and 1 p.m. on a Tuesday? Like, why is that not like, honestly, why is Portugal and Spain at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday? Like, what are we doing here?
Right. At 2 p.m. kickoff in Jerry World. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, what are we doing, bro? Like, the Europeans are gonna be up regardless. So
Right.
we're fucking it for ourselves to acquiesce to the Europeans, and the Europeans are gonna be up regardless. So now we're just fucking ourselves. Like, yeah, dude, fucking 2 p.m. at Jerry World. Like, if it was like, I'll give you, like, if it was 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., I'd understand. I'm like, okay, you gotta keep in mind the East
Yes.
Coast. I get it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like if it was like 3 p.m. Portugal, Spain, and then 6 or 7 p.m. USA, I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But what we doing 12 o'clock? Well, if it was Argentina, Egypt at even like 2 p.m., bro. If the first match was at 2 p.m., I'm like, okay, I get it. You got to give the East Coast guys throw them a little bit of a bone. 5 p.m. Like I get it. Okay, but what are we doing here, man? Like it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I think we're almost. I think there's only like one or two night matches left. The rest of the tournament, maybe three.
There are, let's see.
So USA at 5, and
Uh-huh.
then I know there's next on Saturday. There's a 6
Saturday.
p.m.
Uh-huh.
And outside of that, I think they're all afternoon, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Dude, that's awful, man. That's awful. That's
Yeah.
awful, man.
Oh, well,
Awful, man. We could rant about it. We could save that for another day. But yeah, it's awful, man. Like, what the hell are we doing? What?
r- right.
But you know what, man? I'm looking forward to that Alele Blue Morocco preview. We'll line that up before Thursday.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll recap tomorrow and Tuesday's matches accordingly as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but my brother, much love to you. I appreciate you taking the time. Shout out to the homie Fodez for joining us for the first portion of it. I know he'll be back. I know Vince will be on here soon.
Yeah.
You mentioned Omar and Royet earlier. We got to get both of those guys on here. I know Omar's never been on. Um, You know, Roy came on one time. We got to get him back.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta get the whole gang. You know, in due time here.
Yes, sir. A lot in the pipeline, and big shout out to you for juggling everything. You know,
No, man, don't
you
no.
cranked out a recording earlier, and here you are
Actually, I
again,
didn't do anything, man.
back in
That
the
was all those
lab.
guys. I think I said like 3 sentences the whole time, man. So that's all up to those guys. I didn't I was just happy to be a fly on the wall and be a part of that. But no, it's a thing. You know, it's a testament to you, man. You know, I take this time to apologize to you because I know there've been a couple of times where we were gonna do one and I fell asleep on a couch with my head tilted back and my jaw and my tongue sticking out. So that's my bad. But we're locked in now. You know, I think I got my sleep. I'm caught up on my rest. I'll sleep when I'm dead, baby. We're gonna keep it cracking, man. I love you, brother. And then knock on wood. This upcoming weekend, you and I will do one live and in person, and we'll give the people a little bit of maybe some live commentary action of some sort.
Yes, sir. Here we go, brother. All right,
Here we
man.
go.
Until next time.
Yes, sir. And the next probably what 24 to 48 hours, probably 24. Who we kidding?
You know it.
All right, buddy. Much love. Cheers to a great week ahead. What better way to end it? Love you, man.